Good morning, listeners. You're welcome to this week's Agri Report. I'm Jim Finn. My guests this morning are Michael Ryan from Chagas, Michael Geary from AgriAware, Kate Solan from Gurteen College, Margaret Walsh from the Nina Players, and there's Michael Kelly from Grow It Yourself. The past few weeks have been extremely difficult on farms right across the country with heavy rainfall, saturated soils, and very limited opportunities for grazing or spreading fertilizers or slurry. To discuss how farmers can best manage fertilizer, slurry application and grazing over the next few weeks, I'm joined by Matthew Ryan from Chagas, and Matthew is an advisor in the Thurles office. Matthew, you're very welcome.
Good morning, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Okay, now, Matthew, just to start, conditions over the past number of weeks, as I've said there earlier on, have been extremely challenging. How difficult it has been for farmers to get stock out grazing, and how far behind are farms now as a result of the weather?
I suppose, look, it has been exceptionally difficult, Jim, and it's important to say from the outset that farmers are behind through absolutely no fault of their own. In many cases, it was simply not possible to graze. Ground conditions have been very saturated for prolonged periods. There hasn't been any real drying opportunity, and soils remain very soft. We did have a little bit of drying for a day or so, and we got that glimmer of hope, but we nearly got rain straight away on top of it, so we were kind of back to square one. Farmers themselves know, based on their own soil types, if they went out in those conditions on some farms, they would have caused damage that might have, potentially set those paddocks back a little bit for the rest of the year, while also walking in that grass and not getting the good utilisation. Some of the drier farms have had an opportunity to graze here and there, which is great, but the majority could not. And for those heavy hill lands, they just didn't have a chance, really. So in most cases, the farmers made the correct decision to hold stock indoors and protect the land in those grass covers. But with the weather forecast for next week, we might be looking at an opportunity to get some grazing going on those soils, but it all depends on the forecast accuracy and the type of soil you have. As a result, look, grazing targets like having that 30% of the farm grazed by early March are going to be missed on a lot of farms, be it dairy or beef. Well, look, it is what it is. We can't do anything about it. But the key message is that everyone's in the same position. This is widespread. It's not an individual issue. It's just basically down to weather and soil conditions.
I see. There are some improvements forecast for next week, particularly the early part of it. When conditions do allow, what should farmers be thinking about in terms of getting out grazing and catching up?
I suppose, look, the main thing is to keep a very close eye on soil condition on your own farm, because every single farm is slightly different. Actually walk the farm, like looking at the fields from a distance doesn't really give you the full picture. You'd be surprised how fast it changes at this time of the year with a few relatively dry days if we get them. Forecasts can improve, but the ground under your feet is what really matters. And if conditions become workable, and the key word is workable, then I'd strongly encourage farmers to consider getting some stock out. And I suppose the only way to know really is walk the fields. I suppose those really heavy hill farms is a slightly different story. But look, start with the driest paddock on the farm with the lighter cover. That's the key thing there. With the better drainage and the good access, these will carry stock naturally much better and will recover faster. And that recovery is key when we're behind. Even getting stock out for a few hours through on and off grazing can make a big difference if you can do it. And it allows animals to utilise grass, reduce that pressure on silage, and helps get that rotation moving again, which is key, without damaging soils, and it gets that bit more energy into the animal in terms of feed, which drives that performance. But look, it is important, if we can, to get that regrowth going, wake up that grass to try and reduce that grass supply pinch in that second round. Look, there's a lot of lighter covers of grass out there on paddocks at the moment, which is good, which we would normally have grazed in a normal year. We can use these to our advantage because we can graze these off really quickly, which will help farmers catch up on their spring rotation targets. And that's a key strategy for people right now. But again, look, it's about being sensible. If the conditions aren't right on those fields, don't force it, but walk the drier ones first and assess them.
Matthew, you mentioned rotation targets there. With farms well behind now, how should farmers approach their spring rotation plan from here on in?
Look, I suppose farmers will definitely need to adjust their plans slightly, Jim, but the principle still remains the same. Look, the aim now should be to try and get back on track gradually. On those drier farms, the focus should be getting towards 50 to 60% grade by Paddy's Day, which it could be possible. It's a big ask, but it can be doable on some farms. But on the heavier farms, it may take a good bit later for obvious reasons. The important thing is to start as soon as conditions allow, but keep it moving steady. The farmers shouldn't panic because there's a lot of grass on farms. There's especially a lot of those lighter covers, which gives us the opportunity to cover ground really quickly, and it allows that regrowth to come behind us once the grazing starts. The one thing farmers need to be aware of is that the second round might be slightly delayed this year because paddocks haven't been grazed when we'd like them to be grazed. So getting those lighter covers grazed quicker will help that regrowth and help to get the second round date brought forward a little bit quicker. But right now, the priority is simple: get the stock out when conditions allow, and allow that rotation to begin.
Okay, what about slurry and fertilizer is another major issue this spring. Many farmers haven't had a chance to spread anything yet. What's your advice to them?
Yeah, Jim, this is a major concern on farms at the moment. Look, there wasn't a whole lot that could really be done until conditions improve. There's a lot of storage tanks out there that are fairly full, if not full, and in many cases, farmers haven't had a chance to spread slurry, never mind fertilizer, because the conditions were simply too poor. It was a catch-22 situation. Farmers needed to spread, but spreading in those conditions, I suppose, would have resulted in nutrient loss, for potential environmental damage, not to mention damaging the fields themselves and machinery. So once again, farmers did the right thing by holding off in those cases if it was possible. Now, look, the opportunities, when they do arise, farmers need to be smart about when they spread, where they spread, and what they spread. Target those drier paddocks first, target the paddocks that if they have been grazed, but also for the fertilizer paddocks you might be grazing in a few weeks. Maybe for slurry, prioritise the silage ground. Could be a good opportunity to get out on that slightly drier ground and cover ground quickly. In terms of nitrogen fertilizer, it'll be very important to get a little bit of that out if we can, to drive that grass growth, especially if none has been put out already. But don't go mad on that first application. A little and often is the best approach, and strongly consider using urea in this type of weather, that protected urea. Look, all we really want to do here is wake the grass up a little bit. But the key message, again, is only spread when conditions are right. And I suppose we have to bear in mind that if you haven't any fertilizer ordered, please do so. As if the conditions improve, there will naturally be a flood of calls to the local co-ops or the merchants at the same time. And we need to give them a chance to meet supply and demand. It's better to have it in the yard ready to go rather than waiting for it to a supply chain overload, because to be fair to them, they can't all deliver everything to everyone on the same day.
And finally, Matthew, with a lot of pressure on farms at the moment, but some hope in the forecast, what would your key advice be to beef and dairy farmers listening to us this morning?
Look, from talking to a good few farmers, Jim, the key message is that farmers shouldn't be too hard on themselves. Yeah, they are behind, but they are behind for reasons outside of their control. We can still catch up and fix it. It's definitely, it's not a mess. It is totally fixable. We've been here before, and we've been in worse situations, and we've come out to the other side. So think back to what you did in those years where it was a struggle and what worked for you. The big advantage this year, and it's a huge advantage in some yards, is we have good silage supplies still on farms, and there's contractors out there with super equipment that can help ease that little bit of slurry pressure in places where they can. Now, the focus needs to be on taking opportunities when they arise. So look, have all your tools in place ready to react to the opportunity when it arises. Be a bit proactive about it. What I mean is, watch those soil conditions closely by actually walking those drier fields regularly. Don't just look at them in the distance. Be ready to move when conditions allow. Remember that land will turn fast and dry out relatively quicker than we give it credit for at this time of the year in certain places. Start with the driest paddocks with those lighter covers, use the on-off grazing if we can and where we can, and be smart with slurry and fertiliser applications. The soil temperatures are starting to improve, the grass will grow, things will recover, but it's all about being patient, it's all about being sensible and making the right decisions when the opportunities come. So just get the basics right.
Okay, look at Matthew, we're out of time. I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. That, listeners, was Matthew Ryan from Teagasc, and Matthew is in the Thurles office. Listeners, during the week I visited Gortine College, where AgriAware had one of their days to show second level students and tell them all about agriculture, and of course none better than Gortine College, as it is one of the third level colleges for agriculture here in the country, and particularly I suppose up here in North Tipperary. And there I met Michael Geary from AgriAware, and Michael is going to hopefully tell us why AgriAware are doing days like this around the country. Michael, you're welcome, and thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks very much.
Okay, I'm trying to get to you before you bring all these students. I'm looking out here at 9 big buses from
That's right.
All over things. So what are you really trying to get across to? I presume they're all doing agri-science in school.
That's right. So we're here today, Jim, in Gortine Agricultural College. This is one of 10 farms that we're going to be visiting over the next 3 weeks. So we're going to run 15 events across these 10 farms. And basically we're bringing 5th and 6th year agricultural science students and transition year students who are picking up agricultural science in school or thinking about doing the subject for their leaving certificate, bring them out on the farms, Jim, to give them, I suppose, a breakdown of the agricultural science curriculum, and I suppose bring the theory that they're learning in classroom into practice on farms. Here today in Gortine we have nearly 300 students coming to us. We're going to have a number of stations. We have 10 stations here today that are going to be delivering talks at between the college staff here in Gortine, but also a number of patrons of ours as well, which is fantastic. It's a great way for students to ask questions. You know, sometimes students in the classroom, you know, they're learning something, but it mightn't be just clicking with them. Whereas here on the farm, they might see it in person, and they also can ask questions in a very, you know, comfortable environment where, like, there's no silly question, Jim. And it's brilliant. We get great feedback. We're nearly 2 decades now on the road doing Farm Walk and Talk, Jim. So we have the experience, and we know that it works, and we know teachers come back every year wanting to get more. This year in particular, Jim, we have a new station called the IIS, which is the Individual Investigative Study, which is the project that Leaving Cert students have to do with studying agricultural science as part of their project. It's worth 25% of the overall grade, Jim, so it's very important. So we have a dedicated stand here ran by AgriAware for students to come over and take questions about their project if they need any help with it. We have Eddie here, our education officer, our Ag Science Coordinator, They're just available for students to come up and just ask a couple of questions and steer them in the right direction to try and get as much marks as possible. But as a whole, Jim, today it's about breaking down the agricultural science curriculum across all the strands, all the cross-curricular topics, and giving students, like I said, that opportunity to bring the theory in the classroom into practice here on farms.
Okay, let's go back there where we were. You were telling me about 10 stations.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have 10 stations, Jim. So we have first one's on soil health, we have genetics and reproduction then, we have tillage, we have renewable energy, we have sheep, we have beef, we have grass, we have dairy, we have equine and machinery. And like I said, Jim, some of the college staff are delivering these talks, and then we also have a number of patrons as well, including Grassland Agro, ICBF, Liffey Mills, ABP, De Laval and HRI. And we're going to have a number of different patrons across the 15 events over the next 10 locations over the next 3 weeks. So we can't wait to obviously welcome our patrons, but also really thankful to our Gortine here today in particular, and all the Teagasc colleges and research centres that are opening up their gates for Farm Walk and Talk. I'd like to particularly say thanks to our partners, the Laois Offaly Education Training Board, the Irish Farmers Journal, UC School of Agriculture and Food Science, and obviously Teagasc for supporting this initiative once again this year. It's a fantastic initiative, Jim. As you can see, the car park outside there, nearly 300 students in it, all waiting to kick off here for a great day. It's important, these days are important to highlight the agricultural sector, highlight the agricultural science subject in secondary schools, to try and drive numbers doing that subject, and hopefully drive them then into a career in the sector later in their life when they go into third level education, or even just going back home farm, whatever it may be. But it's a hugely important sector obviously to us here in Ireland, and our job is obviously to raise awareness of agriculture, not only to students but also to the general public, and this is just part of one of the many initiatives that we do, Jim.
And there's another big bus in again. So
there's another big bus, Jim.
You haven't got them all. You haven't got them all yet, Michael. So you're still waiting. Now you're going to have 200 students. Are they all going to go out together, or are you breaking them up into groups?
So they're all split up, Jim. They'll all be going off to each station. They'll get to all 10 stations, but they'll be going. Some of them start at station 1, some of them start at station 5, but they'll all end up back doing each station and meeting all the speakers, and hopefully getting any questions that they have answered.
And roughly then, how long does one of these events last for?
So each station, each speaker is going to be talking for about 8 to 10 minutes, Jim. So you're talking the guts of 2 hours between start and finish.
Right, okay. Yeah. And so you roughly have them, they're on the farm or on, a college like Gortine for what, 3.5 hours really between everything?
Between travelling here, Jim, like most of them will drive, like some of them will drive an hour to an hour and a half away. Like I said, some teachers like to change the venue every year if they can. I was speaking to a teacher there, and 2 years ago she brought her students to Tullamore Farm, the Irish Farmers Journal Tullamore Farm. She brought them to Montbellier last year, and now this year she's in Gortine. She wanted to see the milk and parlour in particular this year. She wanted to get the dairy in, and that's why she's here today with her students. So it's great to see the teachers come back every year, because we know that we're doing something right.
A lot of these students would not come from farms.
Just depending, Jim. Now here today in Gortine, a lot of these are country schools, so like some of them would have, or many of them would come from a farm background. But we are seeing that gap coming now, Jim, where people are 2 generations moved now from farms, so like it is declining, and that's why Agri-Aware is there to try and bridge that gap between the primary agri-food sector and the general public. And days like this, especially we'd have a couple of urban schools as well. Never step foot in a farm, like you said. And days like this they're really important to give students an opportunity to see where their food is produced, Jim.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Some people unfortunately think their food comes from the shop shelves.
And there'll be 300 or 200 at the other events, 10 events.
Exactly, James. So all in all, we're expecting over 4,000 students over the 3 weeks to attend all the events.
Michael, I bet you let you off there. You could get lost with all those students. But look, thanks very much for having a chat with Tip FM, and I hope that the 10 events across the country go extremely well over the coming months.
Thanks very much, Jim. Thanks for having us again.
Okay, that's listeners to Michael Geary from Agri-Aware. Now, I caught up with John Marr from Templemore.
Yes, Templemore.
Templemore. How are you, John?
Grand now, and yourself?
Are you looking forward to this day out here?
I am. It'll be a good day for it out now.
Have you a farm at home?
I do, boy. I do a dairy farm at home, yeah.
A dairy farm. How many cows have you got?
Only 100 now is all.
Only 100?
Still a bit of work on it all the same.
It's an awful lot of work.
It is, yeah. Cows calving there now, so there.
How many of them have you calved, John?
Only about 30 there now, 35.
35? Oh, you left them late.
I know, yeah. Asher leave it later, you know yourself, sure.
Okay. What do you hope to do when you finish school?
I enjoy the farm, and I might do farm when I finish school, yeah, I do, yeah. I try to go to college and maybe get an old qualification and come back.
Are you doing the leaving this year?
No, I'm only in 5th year now myself.
5th year, yeah.
Yeah, sure, I still have another year to go.
This is no bother to you. Sure,
I'll enjoy this now, hopefully. I'll see what I'm doing anyway.
Do you want to get in there in that photograph?
Sure, may,
Look at the best luck, and thanks a minute.
Thanks for that. See you.
Thanks. Are you the ag science teacher?
Yeah, I'm one of the teachers here with the school, with Templemore, yeah. Myself and Judge O'Ryan took over 2 5th-year classes here today, so we're taking out to see a bit of hands-on experience on the farm here in Gortine. So we brought out 23 students between the 2 5th-year classes, so they're all big into farming. You can see here there's John Deere Boiler suits and brown boots and wellies.
I see, and Michael
jackets and everything
as well. Yeah,
we're just hoping it stays dry for them now for the day, and we'll get
look, it'll stay dry. Don't worry.
Yeah, hopefully anyway, we'll get to see a bit of the.
It's a great subject. As I was saying to some of the talking to girls there from Athlone, it wasn't around in my time.
No, it's brilliant, especially
as a subject.
We're in a big catchment area for a lot of farms and country areas, so it's nice for lads who maybe find other subjects a little bit trickier, and they come on and they get the hands-on experience of the farm at home to kind of back up the theory we're doing. We're talking about soil and stuff, and they get to see a bit of an insight into what the subject can do for third level as well. A lot of them don't realise what they can do after they finish up in school and go on and do ag science science. Myself and Mr. Ryan both did ag science degrees first before we did teaching, so we kind of see both sides of the industry and the education side, which is great. But it's lovely to get him out for the day now and get a day off of school and out to having a look around the farm here in Garteen. So local.
And where did you do your ag science degree?
We both did it in UCD. Myself and Mr. Ryan both did it up there. Okay. So we went back and did the education masters afterwards, and back down teaching in Templemore now, so it's nice to bring them out here and show them around Garteen, which is only over the road from us, which is brilliant as well. So
I see you're in the milking business yourself. You're dairy master.
Well, I have the hat on me anyway to keep the ears warm for the day. So we've sucklers at home.
Have you?
Yeah, but it's a great couple of years for them. So we're
good
happy.
Years for sucklers.
It is. Yeah, we'll get through the rest of the calving now, and hopefully the beef prices stay the way they're going. We'll be happy out if they do.
Hopefully, and there's an awful lot of the dairy men hoping the beef prices will stay as well.
Yeah.
Because it's about the only backup day they're going to have given the way the price of milk is
gone. Milk after going back, but the calf price is massive at the minute, so if that stays going, we'll be happy. Yeah, and even for the lads getting to show them today the calves and stuff and talk about the prices, that's all backing up the theory that they're learning out of the textbook, so it's great to get them out and about and show them around here as well.
Okay, thanks Emil. That was Louise Wallace from Templemore talking about the Dairy Science Day that they have here in Garteen, promoted by AgriAware.
Thanks very much.
Listeners, my next guest this morning is Kate Solan, and Kate is the assistant principal in Kildalton College, but mainly her job there is that she is the director of equine, which is a very, very important part of everything they do in Kildalton. And on next Friday, the 6th, there is an open day in Kildalton, and Kate is going to tell me all about the open day. Good morning, Kate, and thanks very much for joining us.
Good morning, Jim. Thanks very much for having me on.
I said there that you are the principal as far as equine is concerned. Can you tell us a little bit before we go into the details of your open day on next Friday? Tell us a little bit about equine in Kildalton.
I absolutely will, Jim. Yeah, so I'm the course director of the equine unit here in Kildalton. So we have 2 courses available for students here, a level 5 and a level 6 horsemanship course. One of them is an equitation course and the other would be a stud management course. So generally the students that would come on and study for the equitation course are interested in the riding and production of horses and possibly in interest in going on and doing some coaching when they graduate. And then the stud management course would be geared towards those who are interested more so in the breeding side. Mares, foals, that kind of side of it. So the stud management course don't ride, and the equitation students would ride as part of their course here.
Are there many jobs now in equine? Are they nearly assured of a job when they're finished with you?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, and it's probably the question we got asked the most on open days, and when parents would be talking to me, they would say, what are the jobs and what are people going to end up doing? So the first thing I would say is there's a huge demand in the industry for a qualified workforce. And the advantage of coming here, I think one of the huge things is just the reputation that the college has on a whole, not just in equine, like agriculture and horticulture as well. But when employers are looking to employ people and they know that they have come through here, I think they're aware of kind of the discipline that the students have when they're here, the experience that they get, both kind of practical, like hands-on experience and in the classroom as well. And that really, really means a lot to employers. So on a weekly basis, we would have people call saying, we're looking for staff. Do you know of anybody? So it's a brilliant way to be able to kind of set up contacts in the industry and, to set people up. So huge demand for a skilled, qualified workforce, I would say, in the industry. And the students end up doing a massive range of jobs when they finish here, like out of the equine course. Some people would go on and ride, some people would be coaching, some people go and produce young horses. in second year on the course here, they actually do a young horse breaking and training module. So they would break a youngster kind of through from start to finish. So, I mean, to have that experience here of getting something going from when it's an unhandled 2 or 3 year old through to riding it away, like, you know, that's a huge asset to an employer from somebody going out. So it's just, students end up doing a huge range of jobs, I think, when they're finished the course here.
Okay, and that's all practical that you're talking about. What happens in the schoolroom, though?
Yeah, so I'd say, you know, the classes are an important part of the course. We have a big focus on the practical side, but the classroom side is important as well. So the type of modules that the students would be doing on the equine side, they do an anatomy and physiology module. So they do that in level 5. They do a breeding module. So some of that is practical and some of it is in the classroom. They do some soft skills. They would do a communications module in level 5, and that's kind of around creating a CV and doing mock interviews and how to organise and run meetings, those kind of things that are very important. They would also do a stable and yard routine module, so that would be kind of going through the fitness and nutrition for horses. In level 6, they do an equine business module, so there's a focus on kind of entrepreneurship in that as well, and how would you set up and run your own business. They do a confirmation module, so some of that is practical, and then some of it obviously is kind of the theory behind that in the classroom. So what we try and do is, like, any of the theory stuff really backs up the practical. So what you'd be learning in the classroom, you can sort of go out and put into practice then in a real world environment. So I think, like, even people that mightn't enjoy the academic side in school really, really excel because they're doing something here that they really enjoy or they want to study. So it's quite different to a school environment in that way.
Okay, now you have given us a very good picture of equine. I'm quite sure then that everything that you said with regard to equine is mirrored for any students that want to study agriculture or want to study horticulture.
Absolutely, yeah. So we would be the largest land-based college in the country, and we'd have kind of 1,300 students and apprentices attending courses here at any one time. So the majority of those students would be studying on a 2-year Teagasc training programme, and some of them then would be studying on higher level degree courses. These would be linked to SETU or to UCD as well. Mm-hmm. So there's established progression routes there. Between the courses that we have, the Teagasc courses, and then onto higher education providers. But any of the courses here, like, very practical, hands-on, you know, there's really, really great practical facilities for the students to be able to learn. So, you know, there's a working farm here as well in the horticulture unit. So, like, the students really are getting a lot of practical hands-on experience in whatever course they do, not just an equine.
A student or a parent listening to us this morning, Kate, and they want to go there on next Friday, what time do they need to be in Kildalton?
So we have tours of the college and the facilities, and they'll start at 10 o'clock and at 11 o'clock, Jim. So whichever time would suit them, they can come for either of those spots. We would welcome anyone to come. You know, it could be school leavers, it could be people who are still in school and not sure what they want to do, it could be mature students, parents, guidance counsellors, anybody that wants to come and see what the college is like. So those tours will be of the units that we have here. So you could do a tour of the horticulture unit, of the equine, of the agriculture, and then also meet some of the students that are on those courses. So at the moment, a lot of the agriculture students are out on placement, but we do have some of the crops and machinery students here, and they will be doing some of the tours. They'll also have a chance to meet some of the lecturers here or some of the coordinators of the courses. So what I would say is, you know, if you're not sure what course you want to do, you could do multiple tours. So you could start and do the ag tour, and then you could come back and do a tour of horticulture or of equine as well, and just come with lots of questions. You know, if you have any questions on the day that you want to ask of any of the teachers, of any of the course leaders or of students, it's a great time to just meet people and get an idea of, you know, what the college is like and what a day in the life of a student would look like here as well. First year students also have the opportunity to live on campus here. So we have some accommodation. We have about 89 rooms here that students can live in first year. So there'll be an opportunity to see one of those rooms if they want to see, kind of what accommodation looks like here as well.
Okay, it's all very, very comprehensive. So it's all taking place, Kate, on next Friday the 6th. And as you already have told the listeners, the first tour goes out at 10 o'clock and there is another one at 11. And I want to thank you ever so much for joining us this morning, and I wish you a very fruitful day at next Friday. Listeners, my next guest this morning is Margaret Walsh, and Margaret is with the Nenagh Players, and she is the director of their current play, which is called The Salvage Shop, and that's going to be performed in Nenagh next week. Good morning, Margaret, and thanks very much for joining us.
Good morning, Jim. Thank you for having me.
Okay, good to have you back. Okay, Salvage Shop. You're taking two of the boards next week?
We are, yes. We actually did it last week in the Arts Centre for 5 nights. And we decided to take it on the road with drama festivals. So we're heading off to Drama Festival on the 8th of March is our first festival. So we are deep in rehearsal and moving to the Arts Centre at the weekend to set up for 2 performances there next week, the 4th and 5th of March.
Okay. And you're hoping that you will be playing to a full audience in the Arts Centre?
That would be absolutely wonderful.
Wouldn't
it would be great for the cast.
Okay.
Yeah, we put in a lot of work between last year and this year, and I was very fortunate that 5 of the 6 cast were able to commit from last year to going on festival. And we did unfortunately lose Joanne Bracken. We were sorry to lose her, but Jade Ryan has stepped into the breach and has absolutely fitted in perfectly. So we have a very united together team, so I'm thrilled with them.
Okay. And how many of the festivals are you doing then when you go on the road?
Yeah, we're doing 8 festivals, so it's going to be an extremely busy 3 weeks from the 8th of March to the 27th of March.
Okay, so a big commitment going on the road.
Oh Lord, it's a huge commitment, and like the cast have been like amazing, have done everything I've asked for, invested completely in the play, but we are now bringing on board a crew, and the crew work is quite difficult. It's hard work. They have to leave early in the morning, get to the venue, build the set, then we'll go down and dress the set, and then the actors will come and perform on the set. So that is an enormous commitment, and we're very fortunate. We have a couple of true stalwarts going to all the festivals, and then other people have fitted in where they can. So it really is a huge commitment from everybody. So I'm thrilled, like everybody's giving so much to it.
It is so important to have a really good team backstage to make certain sure, and a whole backup when you are on the road. It's not
Absolutely.
Anyway, just I suppose briefly for a minute or so, can you just remind some of the listeners who may not have seen this before a little bit about the actual play itself?
Okay, well, the play was written by Jim Nolan. It's a beautiful play, I have to say that. It's set in the seaside town of Garris, somewhere in Ireland, and it involves the Tansey family. Sylvie Tansey is the patriarch, loves his opera. There's beautiful music played right through the play. It's actually gorgeous music. We hear a lot of Pavarotti singing, his favourite, Sylvie's favourite. But Sylvie's a little bit disillusioned because his son Eddie left the local band that he was the boss of a few years ago and let them down before a competition. And then we find out during the play why Eddie stepped away. But their relationship is an uneasy one. Okay. They have a lot, I suppose it's a father-son, mother-daughter type relationship. There's issues going on. But the play is all about seeing how the characters develop and change throughout the time span. It's paced over 3 months or so, and how they change and how people get together. We hear a lot of talk about a character called Costello, but we don't meet him till Act 2. But there's a lot of talk about him. He's like the bad boy.
Okay, we won't give it away too much now, but we'll leave it.
Yeah, but
yeah, okay.
Yes, it's just how the relationship develops and how can they find peace, the father and son, and in the workings of the play. It's a beautiful play. There's gorgeous relationships established in it, and there's a lot of love. There's a bit of laughter, there's a bit of drama in it, and the gorgeous music.
Okay, and we leave it now to the audience to work the rest of it out.
Yeah,
and
I hope they do come and support us, because it's great for the cast and the crew now just to get an audience in to fill the place and, let them show off their talent.
Yeah. And listeners, if you are listening, please do support them, because, going on the road doing 8 festivals is a costly business, and they will need every single penny. And if you do go, you will be supporting their time on the road. So, Margaret, just remind them again of the 2 performances that are taking place next week.
So we're in the Arts Centre. We're in there on Wednesday and Thursday of next week, the 4th and 5th of March. Curtain up at 8 o'clock. Tickets can be got directly from the Arts Centre.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it. So I hope you'll come and enjoy.
Okay, Margaret Luckett, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Jim.
That, listeners, was Margaret Walsh, who is the director of the Nina play, The Salvage Shop. Listeners, my next guest this morning is Michael Kelly from GIY. And Michael and I have spoken many times over the last 8 or 9 years, and there have always been interesting discussions. And Michael now is back again with a show on television, the title of which is Our Farm GIY Story. Good morning, Michael, and thanks very much for joining us.
Morning, Jim. How are you? Thank you for having me on. You've always been a great supporter of ours, so it's much appreciated.
Sure, look at it. any excuse to talk to you, Michael.
Well, it's a very miserable Waterford I'm talking to you from today, so I hope it's better there in Tip.
No better, as I woke up to rain this morning, and I think it's still raining. I'm down in a kind of a bunker. My office doesn't really have, it has an outside window, but I can't see what's happening outside. I'll put it to you like that.
You might be better off.
I might be better off. Okay, you're back. Yeah. You're back on telly again.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about it.
Well, basically, we took on a kind of a small farm on the Curramore estate a couple of years ago, Jim, and the idea is to, it just gives us more space to grow veg and keep some hens and pigs, and in a way that we didn't have so much space in Grow HQ, which is our sort of home here in Waterford City. And so the series is basically following the journey of trying to, turn that into a viable sort of small farm, effectively. So we're selling boxes of organic veg from the farm, and it's really just following that sort of journey of trying to make it all work, because as you know, it's a very difficult landscape for small food producers out there at the moment, and I suppose it makes for very good TV, but it was a very, very difficult. Last year was our first sort of full year of being up and running with it, and it was a very, very tough year. So it sort of follows that through the highs and lows, and it's a kind of a fly on the wall documentary, I suppose. So yeah, that's what it'll be for 6 weeks from Tuesday the 3rd.
Okay, and can I ask you this? When you took over the farm, was it organic, or did you have to go through the conversion process?
It wasn't organic certified, but yeah. I suppose it's just to give your listeners a sense of it. It's in the Curramore estate, which some people might have heard of. It's one of the largest private estates in the country, and this wall garden is 13 acres within the estate and was unused and untouched for sort of 40 years. And so when we took it over, it was effectively organic because it hadn't been touched or sprayed in all that time. But we had to go through a 2-year conversion process to get it certified organic, which it is now. So that means all of the veg and the eggs and things coming out of the land are organic certified. So, but an absolutely beautiful piece of land and a lovely place to work as well. It's just it's a stunning place, and it's kind of nice to be able to bring it back to some of its former glory, because like a lot of these sort of old estate wall gardens around Ireland, it had a since the mid 1800s, it was producing food, would have employed 50, 60 gardeners back in the day. And, it's just nice for it to be back doing what it always did, which is producing really high quality veg,
And was it in really reasonably good shape when you took it over 3 years ago?
It was a mixed bag. It's kind of divided in two. There's a kind of a yard area where, like, that's about, I would say, 4 acres, and that's where all of the old, there was an old vinery and an old peach house and an old pineapple house, all these beautiful old buildings which were in very bad nick, and we had to sort of literally beat our way in with slash hooks the first day we visited. But then there was the main part of it is quite an open sort of a field, effectively, of about 8 acres, and that they'd been running horses on that part of it, so that was relatively easy to get sort of back under veg production. So but yeah, a lot of work for Richard Mee, our head grower, and his team to sort of make it productive again, but I think in hindsight, that was kind of almost the easy part. Like, I suppose we can talk about the harder part of it is getting customers and making the whole thing work financially. I suppose that's the real story, I think, behind it all.
Right. And was it hard to get customers?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I suppose in our naivety, maybe we kind of thought once we have veg to sell, like, people will be banging down our doors to get it, and so there's kind of two ways that we can sell it. One is we have a shop, like a kind of a farm shop in Grow HQ in Waterford, where we sell the veg, and then the second one is you can sign up for a weekly box of veg, and so that's either collected at Grow HQ or we do deliveries, courier deliveries of that. And it just was a really hard slog. I suppose what you realize is that you're up against a food system that's incredibly convenient, and people can go into a supermarket and buy any veg you can imagine all year round, very, very cheaply. And so you're up against all of that. And it's a very different, to sign up for a veg box where you're getting sort of, you don't really know what veg you're going to get. We're kind of filling the box with whatever we harvest in a given week, and you don't have a choice. Like, that's a very different way for a consumer to buy food. And so it was a really, really tough sort of slog. So the last year kind of, which the TV show follows, was the first half of the year didn't have enough produce for the small number of customers we had, and then second half of the year we had too much produce, not enough customers. We've settled into something that's a little bit more balanced now, but a really, really tough year, and I suppose we're not unique in that regard. It's a very difficult landscape out there for farmers and vegetable growers in particular. So I think I suppose it's telling that story at a kind of a micro level,
I love this bit that you don't know what's in the box. That lovely bit of mystery that customer has every single week.
Yeah,
that must be very exciting. The mystery box of veg.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting, but not everybody would agree. I suppose it's so different to the way we consume food now.
I know.
We kind of, I think we've settled into a sort of a mono diet where we tend to eat the same things all year round, including things, that aren't in season in Ireland. So it is very different, and it's, you know, I suppose customers go on a kind of a journey with us for the year where they're trusting us to curate a box of interesting, good quality, you know, food, and there's weeks when they're getting things they may never have seen before, you know, unusual veg and things like that. But I think most of our customers just really appreciate that, and they'll build, you know, we get lovely feedback from people saying we build our whole week around whatever shows up in the box that week, and that's lovely to hear, you know.
Okay. Listeners having listened to us for the past 9 minutes, Michael, and they would like to get one of these boxes and add to your customer base. What do they have to do?
Well, it's very simple. I mean, you can basically go to the GIY website, which is giy.ie, and you can sign up to get like a weekly box. We harvest on a Tuesday. They get picked up in Waterford on a Wednesday by the courier and delivered to you on a Thursday. So super fresh. And that's it. You can sign up to get one every week, or sign up for just to get a one-off box. And it's as simple as that, Jim. So yeah, we'd welcome people to take a look at that and see what they think, and let us know how they get on. Okay. And of course, watch the show.
Yeah, and okay, the show goes out on what channel?
So it's on RTE1 on Tuesdays at 8:30 from Tuesday the 3rd of March for 6 weeks.
Okay, Michael, as always, been an absolute pleasure. I wish you the best of luck with the food boxes, but I also wish you the best of luck with the television series that starts on next Tuesday night, listeners, on RTE1 at 8:30. And my guest was Michael Kelly, the CEO of Grow It Yourself.
Thanks a million, Jim, for having me on.
That's Ag Report for this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. Coming up next is the news at 10 o'clock, and after that, Eamon Dwyer presents Down Your Way.